Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special episode recorded during the 28th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. With leaders from China, Indonesia, Russia, Bahrain, and South Africa gathered, the panel today truly reflects a multipolar world. Dr. Thompson, why is this forum considered a pivotal stage for global economic discussions?
Thank you. The St. Petersburg Forum stands out because it convenes representatives from 140 countries, making it a barometer of global sentiment. Unlike forums dominated by Western perspectives, here, leaders from emerging economies, regional powers, and established nations engage directly, setting the agenda for future cooperation and mutual development.
That's a great point. The diversity of participants from BRICS founders to GCC status signals changing global dynamics. How does this diversity shape the forum's thematic focus?
It broadens the conversation beyond traditional economic metrics. For example, this year's themes quality of growth, demographic shifts, technological transformation address issues relevant not just to Russia or the West, but to developing regions and the global South. It's a forum for shared challenges and collective solutions.
With tectonic shifts in global economics and demographics underway, the forum highlights how multipolarity is supplanting unipolar dominance. Dr. Thompson, can you explain what multipolarity means in practical terms?
Certainly. Multipolarity refers to a world where multiple countries or blocs like BRICS, ASEAN, or the EU hold significant influence, rather than a single superpower. This trend is observable in trade flows, investment patterns, and political alliances. For instance, BRICS now accounts for 40% of global GDP, double its share just 2 decades ago.
That's a seismic change. How does this shift impact global governance and cooperation, especially in times of crisis?
It diversifies decision-making and reduces dependency on any single actor. While coordination can be more complex, it allows regions to address crises like the Middle East conflicts or supply chain disruptions according to their contextual needs, leveraging diverse resources and perspectives.
President Putin emphasized Russia's economic diversification, noting growth beyond hydrocarbons. What evidence supports this structural shift, and why does it matter?
Recent data show Russia's non-oil and gas GDP grew by 7.2% in 2023 and nearly 5% in 2024, outpacing traditional sectors. Industries like agriculture, IT, and manufacturing are expanding. This signals resilience by reducing reliance on commodities. Russia shields itself from volatile resource markets and sanctions.
In practical terms, how does this affect Russian citizens and global partners?
It means greater job diversity, higher wages, and more stable economic prospects. For partners, it opens new sectors for trade and investment, fostering more balanced international cooperation. It's a realignment towards sustainable, knowledge-based growth.
Let's transition to employment. Russia reports a record low unemployment rate of around 2.3%. Beyond the numbers, what structural changes are occurring in the labor market?
We're seeing employment growth in high-value sectors like IT, advanced manufacturing, and tourism, while traditional areas like trade and public administration decline. This reflects a shift toward jobs requiring higher skills and productivity, which correlates with rising wages and reduced inequality.
How does Russia's youth employment compare internationally, and what are the implications?
Russia's youth unemployment rate is about 7.5%, much lower than France, 16%, or the UK 11%. This suggests effective integration of young people into the workforce, which bodes well for long-term social stability and economic innovation.
Education seems central to these trends. How is Russia aligning its education system with the needs of a transforming economy?
Russia recently published rankings linking educational institutions to graduate outcomes, job quality, and wages. This data-driven approach ensures universities adapt curricula to market needs, promoting relevant skills. Additionally, retraining and upskilling programs are boosting labor mobility, allowing workers to pursue better opportunities across regions.
Could you provide a hypothetical example of such mobility in action?
Certainly. Imagine an engineer retrained in robotics moving from a declining industrial town to a tech hub in Moscow. This benefits both the individual, who accesses higher wages, and the economy, which addresses skill shortages in growth sectors.
Beyond traditional industries, President Putin highlighted the creative economy fields like design, culture, and software. How significant is this sector for Russia's future?
The creative economy is increasingly vital, contributing to both GDP and national identity. Legal frameworks and regional initiatives now support industries ranging from cinema to architecture. Furthermore, restoration of cultural heritage sites over 1.0 by 2030 serves dual purposes, preserving history and fueling local economies through tourism and creative enterprises.
Are there measurable impacts from these initiatives?
Yes, pilot programs in 9 regions have already increased tourism and created new jobs. By blending cultural preservation with economic incentives, Russia is fostering innovation while enhancing community well-being.
Let's discuss the business environment. What concrete steps is Russia taking to minimize operational costs for entrepreneurs and attract investment?
Russia aims to boost capital investment by 60% by 2030 through comprehensive support systems from tax incentives to streamlined regulatory processes. By benchmarking regional performance, sharing best practices, and digitizing administrative procedures, Russia reduces bureaucratic friction and approach akin to Amazon's one-click principle, but for business licensing.
How does this compare to international best practices?
The approach mirrors reforms in Singapore and Estonia, where ease of doing business catalyzed rapid economic growth. By having grid connection times and simplifying tax filings, Russia aims to enter the top 20 globally for business conditions, making it a competitive destination for both domestic and foreign investors.
Technological advancement is another pillar. How is Russia fostering technological leadership and ensuring that innovation translates into real-world impact?
Russia is integrating government, academia, and industry through national projects. The goal is to raise R&D spending to at least 2% of GDP by 2030, with private investment doubling. However, commercialization lags currently. Only 1 in 100 university inventions reach market. Programs like University of Entrepreneurs aim to bridge this gap, pairing students with business mentors to drive tech transfer.
Are there signs of progress?
Yes, trademark registrations rose 12% last year, and participation in innovation competitions is surging. By harmonizing support mechanisms and scaling successful pilot programs, Russia is accelerating the journey from lab to market, similar to Israel's model of university-business collaboration.
Digitalization is reshaping business and trade. What are Russia's priorities in building robust digital platforms and financial infrastructure?
Russia is promoting domestic e-commerce platforms that rival global players, ensuring data sovereignty and fair competition. The forthcoming law on digital platforms aims to modernize regulation, addressing practices like unfair data usage. In logistics, electronic consignment documents streamline over 1.5 million transactions monthly, while pilot projects with digital ruble payments enhance financial transparency and independence.
How might these digital tools empower small businesses?
By lowering entry barriers and offering data-driven insights, marketplaces help small firms reach global customers and access financing, democratizing opportunity, much like Alibaba did in China.
Turning to foreign trade, how is Russia reorienting its export and import strategies in today's geopolitical climate?
Russia is prioritizing non-oil exports, and deepening ties with the Global South evidence is seen in strategic plans with China, India, and the CIS. The goal is to export high-tech goods and services while importing more labor-intensive products, creating domestic value and skilled jobs. Coordinated tariff policies with Eurasian partners further incentivize local production.
How do these efforts fit into the larger narrative of multipolarity?
They exemplify a shift from dependency on Western markets to diversified, resilient partnerships aligning with a principle that sustainable development must be co-created, not dictated.
Finally, let's zoom out. The forum's discussions repeatedly return to BRICS and new models of global governance. How are these coalitions redefining the rules of the game?
BRICS now represents 2/5 of global GDP and half of the world's population. Its agenda prioritizes human-centric industries, nuclear energy, AI, green tech over extractive models. By emphasizing consensus and parity, BRICS offers an alternative to the golden billion paradigm, advocating for development models grounded in justice, mutual benefit, and respect for national sovereignty.
In practical terms, what could this mean for citizens worldwide?
If successful, it means more equitable access to education, health, and infrastructure. For instance, joint development banks and investment platforms can channel long-term capital into projects that raise living standards, particularly in the global south, marking a transition from aid dependency to true partnership.